Meeting to order. We had several sets of minutes to approve. And oh wait, I've got the wrong ones in front of me.
We have public minutes from February 8th. Do you have those?
Yep, I was in the wrong email.
Gotcha.
Okay, I got
I'll make a,
February 8th. First of all, were there any changes on those?
I had nothing.
Okay,
Jane?
I was good with them.
64, my name is spelled wrong.
Oh, see, I don't have
don't have
mine.
numbers
I
either.
printed at home, so
That was it.
Oh, under the second,
Yeah.
under where you seconded the motion under
oh,
Yeah.
I see it.
It's
J-U-N-E.
you,
Jayun.
Jayun Ludwig.
June. Well, Butch had been calling me Jane, so at least there's a U in it.
Oh, you've been called worse.
Yeah, that's the damn thing. Oh, excuse me.
All right.
Oh,
So we'll change that name. Was there anything else, Jane?
No, thank you.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 8th regular meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did
All
we
right.
have public for that night? Yeah.
I'm going in the order that they're in the email. We have February 12th,
Mm-hmm.
which
I
was a
had nothing on those.
public meeting. And that's where we talked about the location of the
Yep.
town meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 12th meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then we had a February 12th non-public meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 12th non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Was that the only non-public we had?
I think
I think
that's it.
Jane Leslie, nicely done.
Yes, Jane, thanks.
Yes, thank you, Jane.
Yeah, she's, I think she's listening from home, but she probably can't chime in.
That's
Traveling
fine.
was bad, so we sent her home a little early there so she could
Oh, good call.
get through the notch.
Good. Good, all right. Now back to the agenda. All right, we have a employee COVID-19 policy to look at.
Yeah, it's an update. Now that the PD and fire departments and some town hall staff, including myself, are getting close to their second, or if not if they haven't already had their second COVID shots, we will be. And we wanted a policy. We had some questions from a couple of employees that now, once they have their second shot plus 14 days, they're free to travel and all that, and they are, or if you're exposed after your shots, you don't have to quarantine. So the update you're going to see down towards the end is just updating our current policy to start covering those folks that have made it through the testing and stuff to start getting back to some form of normalcy. So
I had
It's
one
current.
question, and I think Ron can
Ron can probably chime in and answer it. Yep.
Under town prevention measures, first page, personal travel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, it says a minimum of 14-day quarantine. When I came back from Florida, I was told 10-day. Did that change to 10-day?
Yeah, that should be updated to 10 days
Thank you.
per the recent CDC and state guidance.
Yeah,
Oops.
thank you.
Is that 10-day, even without shots?
Yes, because I don't have shots, and they
Okay,
told
all right.
me 10 days if I went outside of New England.
Okay, that's cool. All right, good.
Whether I used public transportation or not.
Okay,
It's 10 days.
Yeah.
awesome.
Other than that, I think those are decent changes. I mean, it makes sense to me.
And the plan is, as the months, weeks and months go by here, we'll try to keep this up to date so that employees, we know what's going on. So
Do you need a motion on this?
I probably should to make it official.
Can
You
I-
guys signed off on it.
I
Or
have
Jane?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I have a quick question if I could. There's a note in here. It says, should Lincoln become impacted by community spread of COVID-19, we will issue additional guidelines related to protocols for essential and non-essential workers. What establishes that? What are they, what is impacted mean? 200 people or just the
That-
non-essential work?
Yeah, that would be set by the public health, New Hampshire
Okay,
Health and
yeah.
Human Services, depending on community spread. Obviously, if the town of Lincoln turned into a cluster, we would have to reevaluate this policy.
Which
So that would be
hasn't
several
happened
hundred
in a year.
people instead of 100?
It depends on where they're at as far as the policy setting and current vaccination rate and all that stuff.
Okay.
And that would be up to DHHS, not us, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended town of Lincoln employee COVID-19 policy with that one correction from 14 to 10-day quarantine period on the first page.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, I'll keep that.
All right, and keep bouncing back and forth here.
Hey, Robert, I love the moderator's rules of procedure. Nicely done.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on to the discussion on the town meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got the moderator's rules. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah, me too.
Sure. I think it would behoove us to go through at least the first four tonight, so the world knows what the rules are coming. I know they're posted on the town website already and at the post office, but it would be good to have them in the minutes too, I believe.
Go ahead, Robert, feel free.
Sure. Masks must be worn entering the building and in the hall for the duration of the meeting and voting. A maskless section has been created in the bar area behind glass for those not wearing a mask. Note, you shall wear a mask unless seated in the maskless section. You may participate in the meeting from there and have time to vote by secret ballot during designated times. Chairs have been paired and distanced 6 feet apart. Do not move chairs. For secret ballot voting, please remain seated until the last name. I should know my own rules, sorry. Please remain seated until the letter your last name begins with is called. While waiting for the next available ballot clerk, stand 6 feet away from the party in front of you. And while waiting to speak, stand at least 6 feet behind the person in front of you. Allow time for the microphone to be sanitized between speakers. The rest of them are the rules that we've had every year. If someone is going to present on a particular warrant article, you'll have 10 minutes for that presentation, and then all debate would be 3 minutes. Does that sound doable for all the warrant articles that you're envisioning? Is 10 minutes sufficient?
I think so.
The only one I'm
Okay.
wondering about is the bond article for the water meters.
Mhm.
I think 10 minutes would be okay for the initial presentation. I think some of the answers, like if we're going to ask our attorney or Dave Fox, who is the consultant that we use for the water rate structure, if they're looking to answer a question, they may need more than 3 minutes to, especially if I'm thinking more Dave than anything. If someone asks questions about the rate structure and he throws up on a screen or whatever, the rate structure starts going through them, it might take more than 3 minutes. If we can only just
Sure.
allow a little bit of leniency for those professionals to respond.
Absolutely. And I guess we can go past that by saying that's not debate, that's answering a direct question. So we
Oh,
would
okay.
allow them that time.
All right. One question.
Yes.
Oh,
Look at me trying to moderate your meeting. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Ron. I didn't see your hand up.
Well, I have a question. You brought up a point there where Mr. Fox may want to do not only audio, but a visual display. So we
Yep.
may want to think about incorporating a laptop and a big screen TV for this.
Mm. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Good call.
You knew me. I'm the audio video guy. So.
Right.
Perfect.
All right. So I'll work on the logistics for that. Is that okay, Robert, to do something like that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
You know what? I'm wondering if we ask Dave, give him plenty of lead time to produce whatever he will want people to have in their hands at the meeting that he might review as part of any questions. And make it so that when people come in, those handouts are available or are given to them. Would that make more sense than a screen? I'm just thinking the chairs are all gonna be 6 feet apart, and then you're gonna have a separate area in the back with,
Right.
with the maskless, if anyone's even sitting there, but you're gonna need a huge TV you're gonna need a projection type thing to make everybody see it.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking it might be easier. I mean, I can't imagine he's gonna want more than a few sheets of paper. If he's gonna have rate structures or a graph or, a cost breakdown or whatever. Maybe just do that on paper and we'd print, 100 copies of each and have it available.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Can you get in touch with Dave and see what he thinks is gonna be necessary? And if he can provide us that ahead of time, we'll print it.
Yeah, I'll get on the phone with him tomorrow and well, two things. He's already set aside his time for the meeting anyway, but to give us a handout or anything he'd want to get to the public. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then Robert, I had a question for you. When everybody has to wear a mask entering the building, leaving the building, once they sit in that maskless section, which is going to be out back, they can take their masks off if that's what they want to do. But when they get up to do the secret ballot voting, can you require them to put masks back on because they're going to be walking?
Sure. They'll still be in that lounge area, not entering the Great Hall where the rest of the voters are. The rules do say you must wear a mask unless seated in that section. So that is my rule. Of course, I can be overruled, but I can't imagine a majority of the meeting saying, we want to take our masks off. So
Okay.
I don't believe we'd be overruled. So that actually is in there, that unless seated in that section, a mask must be worn.
Okay, perfect. And if they want to speak, are we going to have a microphone in their section, or are we going to make them put a mask on and come up and use the one microphone for the public?
Sure, that's a good question. I believe Ron said that Marcus Corey is going to lend us 3 microphones. And so I envision one for town officials, one for the public that are in the Great Hall, and then one in that bar area, if we do get 3 microphones. If we don't get a 3rd microphone, I think we'll have to have whoever's sanitizing the microphone be a runner because it's a wireless mic, I believe.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do some testing on that on the 8th because wireless microphones do have a range,
Mhm.
just to make sure that it's going to work properly in that area, from the distance from the receiver. But
Absolutely.
we'll work on that on the 8th. We'll make it happen one way or the other.
Okay,
Excellent.
all right. Any other discussion about the procedures? This all looks good.
Okay.
Now, Robert, as far as usually we go through the warrant and tell you who's going to be the head speaker or the on the board for each item. We've not discussed that. Did you want to do that?
Okay.
Did you want to do that tonight, or do you want to do that we can either do it the day before the meeting or the week before the meeting.
We could do it now. We
Does-
can't do it now.
Do you want to do it now?
It won't take a lot of time.
When-
I mean, the
I
biggest.
think the
question-
big one would be the bond article of who's either presenting or introducing the presenter. So I can say, and I'd recognize so-and-so. A lot of the capital reserve funds, we just want to know who knows the most about those, but it doesn't usually require me to recognize somebody to speak on them.
Correct.
But it's still good to know who's going to be thinking about it the most. But for the bond article, for sure, there'll be a presentation.
OJ is the best public speaker. I don't mind speaking about it, but OJ is a better public speaker. No question.
And if one of the professionals is speaking, it may just be, I recognize OJ to introduce so-and-so. So it's lots of just, you can decide whether you're doing that presentation or if you're bringing in someone right off the bat or
Your thoughts.
both.
If I'll take the lead and be the first one to speak, but my 10 minutes, I can let either Jane or Tammy speak, and Peter, I don't know if our attorney will be part of the presentation. He'll be more to answer questions, but certainly Dave Fox,
Sure.
Or Ray Colbert possibly.
Or Ray, yeah.
Ray Corbett. All right, so I'll take the lead, but I may use my 10 minutes to pass off to other board members or professionals.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
And then the operating budget,
Well, Jane, she's the budget committee rep.
you want to do that? You're on the budget committee?
You're muted, Jane.
Muted,
Yes, I can answer the questions they have regarding the budgets. Is that what you're asking me? Yes.
well, and I guess not only to, I don't know if you wanted to, you could speak before they ask questions, like just present the budget. I don't know if you want to present any highlights of.
I
what-
could.
It wouldn't hurt. I mean, sometimes to, you look at the budget and say, oh my God, it's up X%. If you get in there and talk about revenue that's also up, we're increasing the number of employees with the police department, just kind of the highlights, you might.
Now, that can also be done by the budget committee chair. So you can talk to Mike Simon, and if he wants to present the budget as the elected budget committee chair, he could do that also, or either.
I've asked him in past years. He's declined. I'll ask him again.
I mean, it's,
He may feel more comfortable this year. There was a lot of discussion, obviously, that regarding the budget committee, and a lot of work by the budget committee members that he may want to present too. I'll ask him, Tammy.
I mean, either way, whatever works for the two of you,
Yeah.
or you could collaborate. I mean, whatever works.
All right, so Robert, on that, it'll go to Jane. And again, if she wanted to bring up Mike for some or all of the initial presentation, that's up to her.
Okay, sounds good.
And then the rest of them, you're right, they're either the capital reserve items. And most of the time, there's not a question, but if there is, one of the three of us will get up to answer that, or Butch. And
Sure.
and then the other ones are related to the two leases.
I do have something about that. Article 23, there's a typo. So we'll do a motion, a second, and then I'll need a motion to amend. It does say a 3-year leave versus lease. So
Oh,
we'll amend a motion to amend that second, and then vote on the amendment, and then vote on the article as amended.
I can do that.
All right, and Timmy, do you want to take the lead on answering any
I will
questions?
do that. I'll do 22 and 23, the lease things if you want.
Okay,
Since I sit on both those boards, it's,
I don't have a book in front of me, so I don't know which is what.
it's the
That's okay.
lease to the Grafton County senior citizens and the lease to the childcare.
just to do a 3-year instead of a 1-year, that's all. And I can, when we get there, I can do a quick, explain that quickly, that both of these are for that purpose, and
Sure.
then with 23, all I have to do is amend it.
would it make sense, well, none of us have books in front of us, silly, but anyway, to go through this next week and just put names and then hand them off to Robert, so Robert doesn't have to actually show up here again, or do you want to try to go through them tonight?
Well,
Well,
then
that
that
would-
would
I'm
go-
just going off what Jane emailed it all and I just printed it out. So that's all I'm going off of.
I'd like to write it in the book and then I can see.
Sure.
Yeah, that, I
No,
like,
no worries.
I'm happy to come back another day too.
I think Robert's thought was that the ones he needs is, or not he needs, but the ones that are going to be most appropriate to provide an initial speaker for are the bond article, the operating budget, and then the other, I believe it's just 2 articles that are not related to capital reserves.
Mhm.
And we've got that done right here. The capital reserves, like you said, there's rarely a question on that. And if there is, the appropriate person will just get up and answer the questions and not necessarily introduce
right,
the article. We'll just answer questions.
right.
Yeah,
And with the chief, I would like to talk to Officer, well, Chad about it and see if he's okay with coming up and speaking regarding the policeman. If there is such a question, if he wanted to answer questions. Does that
And
make sense?
again, that would be a good idea to
Yeah,
line him up ahead of time. But again, when Robert hands off, what we're doing now is just deciding, Robert's going to read the article. Hopefully someone's going to motion and second it. Who's he going to turn to? For the
Oh.
operating budget, it'll be Jane. If you then introduce Mike Simons or Chad or whatever, that's
yep,
up to you.
yeah, I'll ask him to do that. I think that would work out well.
And is there any other articles that anyone thinks is going to need any introduction to before any questions are asked?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't.
I don't think so either.
I think they're all pretty much cut and dried.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but we can go through them once we have a book and decide who's gonna do the others.
All right, one question, a couple of questions. The fact sheet on the water replacement program, that's going into the town report?
It's going to be, yep, it's going to be a page in the report.
Okay,
That's gone in, yep.
is,
Just, we made it just the day that Jane was sending it to the printers. This
Okay.
came in, so it's an insert now. Yep,
Perfect.
yep.
all right, and then what about meeting rules and the meeting location? The location's gonna be in the report, right?
Yep,
Because that made it in time. The
Yep.
meeting rules,
They also made it in time.
it did,
So they'll be in the town report.
okay,
Oh, perfect.
all right, then,
well, we
Fantastic.
ought to have copies at the meeting, which we will.
Yeah.
We'll make sure there's some at the door, and along with the handout, we'll have some at the door. So as people come in, they can have it at their seat.
Well, I saw that these were emailed out, which is awesome, but can we get them on social media? Can we get them on the town's Facebook page?
Understood that was done, but I'll check tomorrow. I
Oh,
understood
I did
Facebook
check that. I just
and,
checked the email. It
Facebook
could
and-
be on there.
yeah. I understood Facebook and
Fabulous.
our website. Yep.
Excellent.
all right, are we good with the town meetings or anything else?
I've got the schedule, the meeting schedules on the Town of Lincoln Facebook page, but I don't see a printout, anything of the, for the water meters or that page, the rules.
Tammy, I didn't because I didn't know if I could put a 2-page document on Facebook.
Well, sure, just do it as 2 pictures. Sure,
Separate pictures. Yep.
JPEGs, okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
and even if the pictures are small, certainly those with smartphones can enlarge them right on their screens. So
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep,
First thing tomorrow.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay.
anything else on the town meeting? All right,
thank you, Robert.
thanks,
You're
Robert.
welcome.
Thank you,
You're
Robert.
welcome. You're welcome.
All right, Weston and Sampson update report.
We don't have a report, but what we do have is a confirmation that EPA, Ray has confirmed with EPA, we are been accepted into the EPA. We're on the list for cleanup monies. It'll take about a couple to 3 months. They have about, I believe they said 8 projects that are ahead of us, but we're in line for the 2021
brownfield?
money.
The brownfield,
And
Great.
what's
the brownfield money? Is that what
brownfields, EPA brownfields money.
Excellent.
So that, that is really good news. So, for the, that's for, that. Weston and Sampson, I got off on 2 different subjects here. I wanted to get Riverfront Park in, like, but the Weston, it's,
Can we expand on the Riverfront Park one a little bit, simply because I've noticed on social media mostly, lately, there's been a lot of questions on what happened to the park, and didn't we put money in there to build a park? How come nobody's built a park, and et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to, on public, again, we are still intend to build a park. There is just some contamination of the area that needs to be cleaned up. It's going to be very costly, so we have applied for brownfields grants so that we can get some grant money to clean the soil in the area prior to building the park and letting the skate park folks come in and put up their skate park, et cetera.
correct. And that cleanup, quite possibly, just doing that cleanup will in hopes, if not completely, certainly a big percentage of our site could be prepped for a park, just cleaning up the site, paid for with federal monies. So we have to be patient. It's going to be slow, but that 19 acres will be hazard free, and the town can move forward with whatever plans it wants. So it is going to slow up. We're going to build a park. And I think the board is determined that we just, rather than spend tax dollars, we're tapping into federal funds, and we made it to the Region 1 list because of the mill. It put us on the list, which is really, really, really good news.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Butch.
Okay. And you just heard me talk about Weston and Sampson. The site tanking project is moving along. They do owe us a written report, but the big thing there is that we've narrowed it down to several points. The siting of a storage tank is important, and I believe or they have determined that there's a couple of locations, and believe it or not, the preferred one right now is that we might be considering the site in South Peak. We'd have to participate in there, but the elevation and what it would do for our main pressure zone is good. The other good thing is, not so much not totally with Weston and Sampson's work, but we have homes that are being sold or committed to be built in elevations above 950 feet in South Peak, which has forced the issue of how to get domestic water to those lots, which as we speak, the South Peak Homeowners Association, chaired by David Yeager, is moving as quickly as they can to make the valving changes and pump upgrades in their pump station to switch that Crooked Mountain Road over to their pump station as was originally designed, which we've been arguing about for the last 3 years in earnest. And that is going to happen as quickly as they can make it happen because of the commitments they've made to folks that want to build homes above 950. So that's good news. And what that does is it frees up roughly 600,000 gallons of storage in our high pressure zone, which meets the requirements we need for the current building crunch, building pressure that we're seeing from hotels in town. So all good news. A written report, like I said, should be coming shortly. There's been like almost daily movement over there, and so that's all good news.
Do we,
And
do we have a time where we're gonna be presented with this as, for a discussion with the
my
tanks?
thought is, as soon as that written report comes in, hopefully the next selectmen's meeting, we could put it as an agenda, right? In other words, once I physically receive that written report.
Okay,
So I was hoping it would have it by the end of this week. They just couldn't pull it together, given all the movement on South Peak by the owners over there in the last week. It's kept us moving around in different directions, but that should be coming shortly. So I'll keep pressuring them to get that, especially at least a report on you remember they broke their study into 2 phases, phase 1, and then phase 2 was, phase 1 was siting, and then the phase 1 was the valving in south on Crooked Mountain Road and back pressure valves. We are going to move forward with the pressure reducing valve between the which is up near the town's, the current water treatment plant. We have determined that we have the monies in-house right now to get that PRV in this spring, summer. And Nate's indicated that he probably can do it with a town crew. So we're going to move forward with that. That was the first thing they said, is so that we could take advantage in a fire flow event and or just a normal draw of water up in the Loon Village tank. We would be able to make that available. So that's going to happen. And that should all be part of that phase 1 report. And then phase 2 is the actual tank siting. And if we did move into the siting of that tank in South Peak, we would probably move that tank up gradient uphill onto National Forest, which we would have to then strike, but we're in conversations with the Forest Service on Boyce Brook, but we look to negotiate with them to get that gain that elevation so that we could affect our whole distribution system, especially our main pressure zone, high pressure zone.
all right, now, they sent us a memorandum, and I guess I didn't know they're gonna do a full report. I thought they were gonna present this, I guess they call it a draft memorandum, but
Well, if you have it, they'll come in. Do you want them physically to talk to you, or in writing enough? I was thinking in writing. Do you want them before you tonight and to talk to you about it?
they did 2 things. One was that pressure reducing valve, and they gave 3 optional locations. From their descriptions, it seems like the location adjacent to the water treatment plant makes the most sense
Yeah.
cost-wise, effect-wise, and everything else. But you've said you've already talked to Nate, and that's the direction you're going in.
That's the direction we're going in. Yeah.
I mean, they didn't come out and say, that's what you should do. They said, these are the 3 locations, and if you look at the pros and the cons, they essentially said that's what you should do without,
And that's what Nate, in conversation with me, and
okay.
I think Ron was actually in part of the conversation. So we're moving in that direction. Dave, I believe Dave was in on that meeting as well. I can't remember, but so we're moving in that direction. Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know, can I speak?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was in that meeting for part of it, and obviously the developments in South Peak in regards to the high pressure zone, putting it where it's supposed to be along Crooked Mountain Road, kind of changed things up a little bit. Obviously, the PRV location at the water treatment plant was optimum to support during the fire flow event, the draw from the Village of Loon tank. But that also has another positive effect, is the pumping station here on Route 3 obviously will be affected by the drop in the Forest Ridge tank. So that PRV location being able to draw during the fire flow event is going to lessen the effect of having to shut the pumps down here on Route 3 to fill the tank up, the Indian Head tank. So it's kind of it's a two-pronged approach with one valve.
Mhm.
Because obviously when the Forest Ridge tank drops, the two limiting factors we currently have are Crooked Mountain Road and the Boyce Brook pumping station. But supplementing during a fire flow event is going to lessen the impact on the Boyce Brook pumping station if Crooked Mountain Road is on the booster pump station, if you understand what I'm saying there. So, obviously, I think Weston Sampson would have been ready, but with the fast track of getting Crooked Mountain Road on that booster pump station, it kind of changed things up on them.
Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, I'm looking at the drafts and everything seems,
Yeah, I did too. So
it's explainable and understandable. They also sent that sighting area, and that's what I was more interested in having the discussion on. So their report must focus more on that, because other than the map, they didn't really address pros and cons or specific sites within the zones that they've
they pretty
highlighted.
much
So,
have now zeroed in on for the work that they've been assigned to do. The sense I got is that South Peak site up gradient onto National Forest is the place for your tank. That's pretty much, that was my sense. And Ron, I know, I see Dave's on.
Yeah, yeah, and there was quite in-depth discussion on how far the pipe came up. When Syntex did the pipeline going up, and then in 2007, whatever it was, when they stopped, they wanted to know exactly how far that pipe went up to the original tank sighting spot in South Peak to factor in their new assessment. So,
yeah, and I think Dave recollected it was somewhere just behind or just down gradient from the treatment plant or something like that. It was, it's right up there anyway. So, yeah.
okay, then we'll wait for that report.
Yep.
And then I would say as soon as we can, schedule a meeting for them to have a discussion with the board about the optional
Wait.
sites.
I'll have them sign on so they're physically, you can talk to them and ask
Yeah, I
questions.
think that'd be worth
Okay,
doing at this
All right.
point.
Yep. We'll do that.
All right, anything else for the town manager's report?
Yeah, in your packets, we got a request from, I think it was, I can't. Anyway,
Mike Donahue?
yeah, no,
Was
No.
it the email?
yeah, no, it's on the plaque for O'Brien Way.
Yeah, Michael Dovalok, rather.
Mike Dovalock, okay, and John and I have discussed it. He's looking for in the vicinity of I believe $750 to buy a plaque dedicated to Thomas O'Brien, who was killed in action in World War II at Footpath. He explains on the back what it's all about. They'd like to, the Legion would like to erect a plaque naming that path in honor of Captain O'Brien. And obviously I saw no reason in it. We can find the money, but I told him it would take a vote of the board to approve, putting a plaque on that walk path across to that goes from across by O'Brien Avenue. So so that's in front of you if you want to.
I don't see it. Did I,
Do we get that electronically?
was that tonight?
Yep. Yeah, it's here It was,
you like me
Jane
to read it?
emailed to you folks. Yep.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, yeah.
You have it electronically, Jane?
No, Jane printed it out for me.
Okay.
Go ahead and read it.
If you want
Thought
to
I
read it,
did.
that'd be
If I
great.
didn't, I
Okay,
apologize. I'm trying to get the town report done. I thought I emailed it with the rest of the stuff, but I might not have.
No worries. Go ahead, Jane, you can read it.
sure. What is O'Brien's Way? Is it this footpath? It is this footpath named after Lincoln resident Thomas F. O'Brien. Thomas was stellar in his performance as an artillery officer during World War II. He was awarded the Silver Star in Algeria by saving 2 soldiers' lives. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross in Sicily by courageously facing among certain death for a glorious victory. He was awarded a 2nd Distinguished Service Cross D-Day on Normandy Beach, France, for disregarding his own personal safety by valiantly leading his men off the fire-swept beach. Captain O'Brien was killed in action on his birthday, 16 November 1944, in the Battle of Hamish in the Hürtgen Forest, Germany. May he forever be in our minds.
And it's
yeah,
a
I think
bronze plaque. Yep.
I think it's pretty awesome. My uncle was killed when he was 18 in World War II. What he accomplished in his lifetime is unbelievable. As far as what he did in the service is tremendous. So I think we should definitely do it. Absolutely.
What is it? It's a plaque. I think it's gonna go on.
It'll be a bronze plaque. It's gonna be a bronze plaque with Captain O'Brien's photo and
Okay.
what Jane just read would be
Yep.
on the plaque.
Yep.
And their plan is to mount it at the, it's gonna have a sign that says O'Brien's Way with a blue background. This is Mike's writing, and it'll be a street sign with that plaque on it heading into the path. So I
So
think,
it's on Maple Street at the beginning of that O'Brien's path.
yep, that's my understanding.
Okay, and who's now the Legion is doing this?
I took it upon myself to assume that it's the Legion, but it's Mike Dovelock that's spearheading it.
Sure. Once this is erected and put up and whatever, is it going to be property of the Legion or property of Town of Lincoln? Who's going to be responsible for maintaining this in perpetuity?
I did not ask that question, but we can.
And you said the total cost was $700?
He's estimating 725, so we can easily find that money. He wants the town to purchase the plaque and the signage to put it in. So I'm gonna say the town's probably we should take care of it.
Yeah, that
Going
should be
forward,
on.
it should be a town. If we approve it and it's up there, we'll assure that it stays up. That's,
Yeah.
I would take a vote of you guys and yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I understand too. He lived on Church Street. Pollard Road all his life until he went into the service, and he has relatives, I think, here. But to save people at on the beach in Normandy in France is like amazing. That was a bloodbath. What he did was phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, it's well deserved. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely.
deserved. Yeah.
So I assume we're gonna need you vote on doing it to spend the money, but then number 2, actually, if it's gonna be our property, we don't have to take any vote on mounting it on town property. But
Yeah,
if
and
it's gonna be
If we
owned
talk
by-
to Mike and it's and if he says the Legion, for instance, would want to maintain it, then we can come back to you and say,
Yeah, and we should, if
I can
that's the case,
clarify
we should give them permission to put their plaque on town property.
and that, but the town is, will pay for the plaque and he's looking for $750. So
What can we take that out of?
I'll take it out of,
Patriotic
patriotic
purposes,
purposes, probably.
Oh,
Patriotic
perfect.
yeah. Now,
We have it in patriotic purposes. I
no,
mean,
we'd have to
specific.
spend that budget.
Excuse
We
me?
may overspend the budget, but that's where it should go.
I'm
That's
good with
where it
that.
should go. Yeah.
Now, let me just ask, in anticipation of some major cuts at town meeting, do we want to wait till after town meeting to see, if we get, $200,000 or $300,000 slashed out of the proposed budget?
That's a good idea. And then in the meantime, you can touch base with Mr. Dovalak and just make sure that he wants the town to own it and maintain it and all that. And it's not, in fact, going to be something that the Legion wants to own. Either way, I don't care, but while we're waiting for town meeting, you can touch base with him and double check and then put it on our agenda for the first Monday after town meeting.
Okay. I'll do that.
That sound all right, Jane?
Me, yes. I didn't know, did you say it was gonna be slashed if the budget is reduced, you mean?
Crazy
I'm
things have happened.
Well, I
I'm
know
not saying
that.
it's going to happen, and I'm not saying anyone told me it was going to
Okay,
happen.
good, so good, all right.
Um,
I mean, the worst comes, I mean, I can take it out of building property maintenance. We'll definitely have money there. I mean, it could happen anyway. I just thought it should
Right,
be dedicated to, so it's up to you guys. I mean,
I love it. I love the idea of it, but I don't see any harm in waiting till after town meeting.
I don't need
no,
it.
that's
A
fine.
few weeks
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, wait after town meeting.
All right, so let's put this on the agenda for the first Monday after town meeting.
Okay,
Fabulous.
yeah, and we'll get a hold of Mike and tell him, well, you may be listening anyway, so,
Good,
okay.
good, good.
Yep.
What was the other thing we had? We have,
That's all I have. Well, let me, okay, the lease agreement with Days Inn, you already know, I did a 3-day agreement for the town meeting at Days Inn. So 8,
Good.
9, and we have insurance and come and go as we please until
Mhm,
noon of the 3rd day. So
mhm.
that gives us time to get chairs and stuff out. And that's it. That's all I have.
we have the treasurer doc that was sent tonight. Do you have that, OJ?
I do, yep, I have that up. That was my next thing, if which was done.
Perfect.
I guess we appointed a new town treasurer, but didn't. I guess I thought this was already been done in that it talks about the town treasurer, not a specific person.
I don't know what you're talking about. I guess I'm not privy to the email.
All right, pursuant to the provisions of this RSA, the town treasurer has the responsibility to deposit all such monies received by the town of Lincoln in appropriate financial institutions as outlined in the statute. The RSA allows the treasurer to delegate deposit or other financial functions to other town officials or employees, provided such delegation is in writing and includes written procedures acceptable to the Board of Selectmen. Such delegation may only be to a town official or employee bonded in accordance with RSA 41-6. The Lincoln Town Treasurer hereby delegates deposit function authority to the Lincoln Town Clerk, Tax Collector, and her respective deputy of the funds collected in the roll. These deposits shall be made on a weekly basis or daily whenever receipts total $500 or more. In making these deposits, the Lincoln Town Clerk / Tax Collector and her respective deputy shall provide the Lincoln Town Treasurer with a deposit slip from the town's general financial fund institution, in addition to a detailed backup report documenting the receipt of monies comprising the deposit made. This authority shall remain in effect until rescinded by written notice by the Lincoln Town Treasurer.
I'll make a motion that we approve this treasurer's delegation document.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. I assume this will be, all three of us have to sign this, so this will be on the bar this week to
Yep.
do the official signature. All right, just a couple of things I had, we've reached agreement with, and again, I don't want to talk out of non-public if there's anything about this we need to talk about, but otherwise, I'm thinking the Black Mountain Road agreement
It's
for
set.
resolution is set. Has
Yep.
that been signed?
That is signed and done deal.
Okay, so,
And we are, just so you know, I think we figured a way, we will, Nate and I have, looking things over. We're probably gonna not easily, we're probably gonna, get to the shim and overlay of our section of Black Mountain Road, before October 31st of this year. And we'll take care of the 1 or 2 culvert issues we have. And then any major upgrades we'll handle in years to come, but by agreement, we will be getting that done. And so that should be put to bed finally.
okay.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make sure we announced that
Yep.
we reached a settlement with the landing through bankruptcy court a couple of years ago. But this as part of that, we held money to secure the improvement or restoration, I should say, of Black Mountain Road, which most of the road was the responsibility of the developer. The town portion is our responsibility, but we had $40,000 or $42,000 of that fund that was created to do this in remain in our
bond.
possession, right?
Yep. Out of the bond. Yep.
And we reached an agreement that we would do that this year as opposed to postponing it forever. Which originally we were going to postpone it because we wanted to do those culvert issues.
Right, that was my
Um,
question, and I, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I say the agreement we reached is that we would do whatever, can I call it quickie culvert issues needed to be done this year and shim and overlay the whole road, knowing that there's one bigger culvert issue that involves that rock wall
Mhm.
that's owned by one of the condominium associations, and our culvert goes through or along that wall. So it has to be a cooperative effort to fix what's under the road, fix their wall, and fix our culvert that's in or next to their wall. What we've agreed to do is we'll do all the shim and overlay and fix the easy stuff this year and not make them wait until we do that big project. Knowing that, number one, the $40,000 is in a fund sitting there. It's kind of it's money meant for this project and meant to do the shim and overlay. And we're going to get it done, knowing that in a couple of years, we're going to dig up a small section. What do we own? 800 feet?
You know,
1,800 feet, I think.
1,800 feet, sorry. And we're going to dig up, I don't know, 20 feet of it
Yeah.
or less to put in a new culvert at some point in the future, but we're not going to tie up the other 1,780 feet of roadway and leave it in crappy shape for however long it takes us to do that one project. We're going to dig up a small amount of new asphalt to do that major project, but we're not going to do that this year because number one, we've not finished funding that through the capital reserve. We haven't done the engineering work. We have to work with the condo association to get it fixed. So we're just going to do what we can, do the shim and overlay, get that road back into good shape. And when we're ready, we'll dig up 20 feet of it.
That's the plan. So,
So we don't need to vote on that, but I just wanted to announce that
Yeah.
issue has been resolved. And when people see us doing that road over this spring or summer, that's being done with that escrow amount that was set up through the bankruptcy proceedings. And we're going to do that road knowing that in a couple of years, we're going to dig up a very, very small section of it.
Yep.
Any progress in getting a camera at the solid waste facility?
Nate was getting with the same group that put the cameras in the fire station, and we haven't heard an amount or anything back yet, but we're working on it.
That's all I had. Jane, did you have anything?
Are they still handing out stickers for the solid waste facility?
As far as I know, I haven't heard that they're not, so unless you know something I don't.
Well, I
I
don't see them on cars.
I haven't heard that they have stopped, so.
I wonder, well, the town clerk would know that, correct, Christie?
Yep, either Christie or Woodstock or Judy. Yep, yep.
I've heard some positive comments about our newest solid waste facility employee.
So have I, so it's
Yeah.
good.
People
Yep.
like having down there. Yep.
Good, yeah.
I have also, but I've also heard, had a discussion about what they call the bulk goods. When you come in with typical construction debris, it gets weighed and people are paying per pound. When you come in with couches, chairs, box springs, bulky items, those don't go in the construction debris, they go in a separate container. And the price per pound makes no sense on that, because when we get rid of it, we're not paying per pound, we're paying per container. So if I have a couch, this big and it's made of foam, it takes up that much room. And if Tammy comes in with a couch the same size, but it's steel frame and has a pull-out thing and weighs 18 times as much, she pays the same amount. But it's not the weight that matters. It's the bulk it takes up in those containers. So we need to look at, and what I was quoted was that one of the last few containers, they've been keeping track of what they've taken in for fees and what they've paid to get rid of it. And they're not breaking even, and it's actually costing multiples of our revenue in expenses. So if our goal is to collect enough revenue to pay for what it costs us to get rid of it, we're not doing that with those bulky items. With that being said, I hope that Nate and John can work together to come up with a proposal for us and the Woodstock Selectmen to look at, to readdress that one issue. Everything else down there, I think, is working out okay as far as the rate structure that we have and charging per pound. But charging per pound and paying per cubic feet to get rid of, there's just a mismatch.
So have any of you had any conversations with Nate or
I have not.
Okay. with Nate or John?
Or John, no, I have not, but that needs to happen.
I'll do it
and
tomorrow.
I'm just bringing it up to
Yeah,
see if we can get, and again, they might need more time to collect data. I don't know how many loads they've looked at. I don't want to make a whole decision of the two boards based on what one load cost. What is it over time? Are we losing, is it costing us 3 times as much in expense as we collected in revenue, or is it 1.2 times the amount? What does the adjustment need to be? What I don't want to do is try to make it a profit center where we're making tons of money off these bulky items by charging ridiculous amounts. I want it to be in line with the average cost to get rid of.
yeah. My guess it's like tires. If you charge too much, the next thing you do, you find them tossed in the woods or beside the road somewhere. So that's
Tires anyway, so.
that's the balancing part there, is to get as close as you can without.
Right.
Well, we're talking,
Tires at the solid waste facility. I wish you did, because then we would get less of them, but.
But I mean, for those, I know, speaking in Thornton here, we do take tires, and they tried to jump the price up, and the next thing is tires dropped off and they ended up in people's front lawns or down country roads, and
Behind my garage, yeah.
how about,
garage.
Go ahead, Jane.
one of the things I was thinking about that we had concerns with before was short-term rentals and people just not sorting the garbage and putting it all in the same container, which costs the taxpayers some substantial money. How is that working out? Is that better? Are they getting stickers? I guess that's the reason I asked about the stickers. Are they getting stickers? How are they handling that? Do we know? Or are we still
I've
getting
not heard,
mixed
like I
garbage?
said, it hasn't come to my attention in the office until tonight that it's not being done. So I'm gonna have to check, Jane. I assume
Okay.
stickers are being handed out and things are fine. So I haven't, Nate has, nobody has said to me, we've got a real problem with, or a greater problem with, part-time.
That'd be a good item to follow up on though, just because
Just
Jane's right.
Yep.
We made that policy in an attempt to keep, the one guest who comes up for one little short-term stay to use our facility. It should be the landlord, owner, property manager's job to take that rubbish to the dump, not each guest. And
As far as I know, that's been implemented and they're enforcing that, but I'm gonna
okay,
check
I-
tomorrow. Yep.
just
Yep.
see if they've been having any problems or issues enforcing it, Are they still getting a lot? Do we need to remind or re-notice the short-term rental owners or whatever?
Yep.
Anything
Thank you.
else?
No,
All
I'm
right.
good.
I'll open it up for public participation. Is there anyone who wants to?
Hello, it's
Hi.
Paula. Huh?
Yep. Hi, Paula. Go ahead.
And Paula?
I submitted a memo to Jane at Town Hall this week with my concerns about the town meeting. Did you receive it?
We did.
Okay. It isn't an objection. It is just a very, very concern. You have been very good at accommodating people who don't want to wear masks and therefore probably don't want to social distance. But you have not been very accommodating to those who are afraid of crowds and having to be close to. You may have a glass screen, but in order to go to the bathroom, you have to go through the bar. Please, can you put an alternative in to have a Zoom option for some of us that will not be able to attend if we don't have this? I have Crohn's disease. I have an intravenous medication I have every 6 weeks, which is an immunosuppressant. I have asthma, heart disease, everything you want, or everything you don't want. But please, I need to attend the meeting because I have a horrible feeling of what's going to happen if there aren't enough people there. And I really do feel that it wouldn't be that difficult to have a Zoom option for voting. For me, I don't really care whether my vote is known or unknown if we have a secret vote. Can you address this?
I'm not sure if I'll have to talk to Robert about it, but I believe if we have people who want to vote who aren't at the meeting, it has to be a whole different setup where we have the discussion and all one night and then the voting another night, but I'm not positive of that.
So what you were saying is that you're saying to me, I cannot attend because you must have people attend who won't wear masks and social distance. Come on, OJ, you can think this through. We've been here before.
I just texted Robert and Robert is going to log back on so we can ask him.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tammy.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Give him just a moment. He'll be right on.
You have all the time.
Mhm.
By the way, the cat was lovely.
Yes, that's my little sweetheart. That's Minnie.
Oh, I didn't know which one of you was going to fall out first.
I know. That happens. No, she's a love. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Robert says, just let me get dressed. And then he goes, just kidding.
I don't care if he's naked, he just has to blank the screen.
He's funny. Well, you see that too, the COVID meeting bloopers or whatever, when people are in this meeting and then they get up and walk away and they're in their underwear with a shirt and tie on. So, yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't stand up?
No, don't stand up.
But what about the school board that had to all resign?
Why?
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, this past weekend in California.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
yeah. Hot mic, you got to be careful.
Oh my goodness. Well, this past summer we were in a meeting and my cat brought in a chipmunk in the house. So I'm chasing this chipmunk with a broom on the Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Robert. Thank you for coming back in.
You're welcome.
Paula Strickon had a question about, is it possible to provide a Zoom option for those that are medically compromised and cannot or are afraid to attend an in-person meeting? I think you answered that about having a hybrid type situation, but I'll let you clarify.
Sure. According to state law, you must be present to vote. So we can Zoom our meeting out, put it over the airwaves, but you, although you can ask questions and make comments, you would not be able to make motions or vote virtually.
so basically you are making accommodation for those people who don't want to wear masks. And I am saying probably do not want to social distance at the, at the gift of those who do want to be safe and are afraid of this. Robert, I am immunocompromised. I want to
Right.
be there. I want to vote. But I
I understand that.
That's yeah.
I understand, and that's why the maskless people are in a completely different room behind glass. By law, I can't exclude voters. So I've made the Great Hall where all the voters are going to be mask required. So I'm excluding the people that don't want to wear masks and making them sit in another room.
Yes,
so it's not that I'm excluding
me. You are excluding me because I do not want to be in a room with 50 people.
I do have the Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State put out a joint thing that said, if you are a traditional meeting, you can't vote virtually. And if we go to a virtual meeting, only the Board of Selectmen can make those amendments and things like that. So either way, you have to be in person or it's up to the selectmen. There are a lot of things that I have control over as the moderator, and there's some things I don't. And this is one, is if somebody doesn't want to wear a mask, I can't tell them they can't come in. I can tell them they have to sit in a different room. They're not allowed in the room where the rest of us will be.
I understand that, Robert, but then I will ask OJ and Tammy and Jane to please accept some type of voting that those of us who are immunocompromised can vote. I don't want not to have to vote because I can see what's coming if I don't, or some of us don't. Please help me.
So
Robert,
just to be clear, it's not the maskless people that's an issue. It's the whole, even in the great room with masked people sitting 6 feet apart, that's not acceptable. Is that correct?
No, not for me, because there will be more than 50 people there, I assume. And that is much more. And the building is old. I'm quite sure the ventilation system, has not been upgraded. It probably, the whole place hasn't probably been cleaned in 4 years. I mean, apart from a quick dust. I can't do this, OJ. And I feel that not just me, but others like me are being discriminated against because we want to abide by CDC rules. We want to be safe. I have been shut in my house since the beginning of last month, March. Okay. I haven't been out. I haven't had anybody in my house except my husband, poor thing. but nothing. Okay? I want to feel safe to come to this meeting. Somehow I can. If you could just let me go to, I don't care who knows my vote in the secret ballot. If that is the difference, Ivan would like to speak now, so I don't, okay, he'll be good.
I'm not so concerned about the voting because one vote, which here or not, that's up to the people that aren't going to attend. But at least we would be able to view the meeting on some sort of media, so we have an idea of what transpired at the meeting as the meeting goes on, and not wait until it has to go up on YouTube or wherever they're producing it. It seems that Woodstock has overcome this problem, and maybe we need to, contact them and find out what they're doing, because they're not having a general meeting in that format. I'm not sure what format they're using, but they seem to have solved the problem, and maybe contacting them and seeing what they're doing may help.
I certainly can speak to that. The lawmakers in Concord gave us two options: the traditional in-person meeting or House Bill 1129, which is the virtual meeting. Woodstock has chosen to use that virtual meeting. And in that case, the three selectmen are the only three who are allowed to make motions, the only three who are allowed to make amendments. So when it comes to the bond hearing or it's not the hearing, but the bond article or the general operating budget, any of those where somebody from the audience might stand up and say, I want to use a different number, they're excluded from doing that because only the governing body is allowed to do that. So there are pros and cons to both sides for sure. I don't know that doing it virtually is the answer for some because they want the opportunity to make amendments.
I would just like the ability to be able to be there in some form.
Like I said, I'm happy to make arrangements so that we're broadcasting live. It just, you can't vote virtually. That's a law that I don't have control over. As the moderator, I have all sorts of things I can do. This is a book of rules that I have to follow. This is another book of rules that I have to follow. And this is a third book. Beyond that, I can make my own rules, but I can't disregard these ones. And that's one that you can't vote virtually, but we can certainly broadcast it and you can watch live. When it's time for the bond article, the voting is open for an hour. So you can come in and vote and go back out the side door and not ever enter that great hall and still have the opportunity to vote on that one article. But the raise your hand or say aye for those that are present that want us to do that, you can't do that from your living room.
No.
Thank you, Robert. That makes.
You're welcome. And I certainly understand where you're coming from. It's a tough one because there are people who want to do it live and there are people who cannot do it live. And where do we find the happy medium? And perhaps that happy medium is a live broadcast.
Yes, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.
You too.
Be safe, everybody.
Okay, Robert, thank you for coming back and answering the questions, and Ivan.
You're welcome.
Thank you for bringing up your concerns, and I hope this is acceptable. Ron's online. I'm assuming we'll be able to Zoom this, no problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to test the integrity of the Wi-Fi there. I may have to do some work to get a reliable internet source. Depending on how many people actually log on, it does chew up bandwidth. So I'll have to test that, and I'll get back to you on that. We'll make it happen one way or the other.
Thank you, Ron.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay.
You're welcome.
We need to release this session because someone else is going to use it in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody be safe. Thank you for
You
your
too.
concern.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you,
Good
folks.
time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, any other public participation? All right, what we also need to do is before this meeting, we had a meeting, a non-meeting with our attorney regarding the assessment case with South Peak. Related to that, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion that number one, we establish the 2017 fair market values as follows. Lot 121-021 at $105,000. The phase 2 lots, which are 26 lots, a combined total of $5 million. The building at lot number 126-020-000-BG, B as in boy, G as in George, at $242,000. The lot at 121-050 at $80,000. And the condominium at 118-039-001-05-0000D as in dog at $485,000. And for the finance director to take those fair market values, adjust them by the 2017 equalization rate to come up with revised assessment values based on those, and further to abate the taxes for the tax years 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 based on those new assessed values, plus the interest that we're legally bound to pay on those abatements.
I will second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion from the board?
Just don't make me repeat it.
And again, this sounds confusing, but we have fully discussed this before this meeting with the non-meeting with our attorney. These are all lots that are either not in dispute or within a very narrow margin of dispute after our appraiser looked at them, South Peak's appraiser looked at them, and then a neutral mediator judge looked at them. And some of these we're bending, only $5,000, small percentage points below what was our appraiser come up with. Some of these are well below our assessed value. Like take lot 121-021, our assessed value is $445,000. Our own appraiser came back with a value of 110. So even by our own expert, we're way over assessed on that one particular lot. So anyway, we're looking to abate these so that we can focus the attention of our continuing lawsuit on the lots that are in much greater dispute. So that's why I made the motion. And again, what we're looking at is fair market value, and we're then directing our finance director to reduce those further by the equalization ratio that was in effect in 2017, which is the year that these were appealed. All right, so obviously we're going into almost 4 years now of appeals. So we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'll let Peter know that we voted this way. And probably I'll get together with Jonna, or at least by the phone,
That
and
might be good. Yeah,
go over all these. I'll send her my spreadsheet and we can talk about it, but
okay,
I'll follow up with her.
great.
Peter said that he would work with her as well if she needed a hand
Yeah.
converting those figures.
Yeah.
I think she's got the, right in her computer. I think she can
Good.
whack
Perfect.
those out pretty quick. Yeah.
OJ, do you have all of those, that motion that you just did, all of those on a separate sheet? I was just thinking you could email that to Jane Leslie to save time for her on the minutes. If you don't, it's no big deal.
I do. Jane, I have this in a PDF. This is attorney-client privileged information. It's not a public document because the top half of this document I'm going to send has these numbers that I just read and are public, but the bottom half of the document includes all of the disputed amounts with the various appraisals and claims and stuff that is not public information. So I'm going to forward this to you. No, I can't. How can I do
No.
this?
I'd be, OJ, you should,
Copy and paste those top numbers to a
why
different
don't
document.
you, I'd suggest you go directly with Jonna and we'll worry about the minutes.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Okay, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll get it off the recording. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
It's not
Yeah.
necessary.
yeah,
All right. That makes it
yeah.
better. All right. And I'll talk to John about this and then,
Okay. And we'll hash out the minutes with Jane. She'll undoubtedly need some guidance, but we'll get there. Yeah.
all right. With that being said, I do want to go into non-public because since the beginning of our meeting, Peter answered that question regarding the assessment on two of the lots that we were discussing. He provided a very solid answer on that, and I at least want to make the rest of you aware of what that answer is. Not that there's going to be a lot of discussion, but I'll make a motion that we go into non-public
Second,
for legal issues.
second.
Jane seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.